In this video help, I'm going to cover FM Go, the new version, which is 13. It's a little different than the version on 12, so this is a new video to try to help new users understand how it works. So let's go ahead and tap on it. In the main screen, when you come into it, you may see a tutorial that starts up. If it's the first time you've ever used FM Go 13, you can dismiss that by using the double boxes up here in the corner. And what that's going to do, it's going to give you a screen where you go to the Windows portion of the display. And what it's going to do is going to show you the individual app that you're running, which is the tutorial. And what you basically do is when you see it, it'll be minimized. Go ahead and touch the red X in the upper left-hand corner. What that's going to do, it's going to dismiss that app and then bring you back to this screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use one of the basic management things that are in the iTunes thing and show you the difference between this. Before we do that, I'm going to indicate that there are hosts which are online, and this would be the client application for those cloud versions of the applications that are loaded. The other one is on the device, which is the iPad or iPhone or whatever it is that you're using. Now be aware that there are two versions of FM Go 13. There's the iPad and the iPhone version. This is on an iPad mini, but it could easily be on any size of an iPad. But what you want to do is go ahead and click on Devices. And what's going to happen is going to show you anything that is loaded on the device as a database or file that you could be using on the FM Go 13. Basically, what you would do is pick whatever you want to play and click on it. It's that simple. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the first one, which is Assets, and it's going to pop up on the screen. And as I was showing you before, I can show you the app, but that's not important. I just want to show you how to actually shut down the application or use the supporting tools that are available. I'm going to move over and I'm going to touch the gear over in the corner. When I touch the gear, what it's going to do is it's going to go bring up the dialog on the screen. And on this dialog, similar to the one on FM 12, what it does is it allows you to take and change the way that you're looking at the current screen. For example, if you want to do something with it, as far as view it as a layout, list, or form, you can do that. You can show the toolbar or hide the toolbar. You can refresh the window if there's a reason for that. You can close the window. You can perform a given script if you want to. You can go into the print or export data. Now you cannot import data into the iPad. There's no facility for being able to do that. If you're on the cloud and using WebDirect, which is also new, WebDirect would allow you to go ahead and run that import as far as bringing data into the application. But you can always export if you're on the iPad or iPhone. What would you want to export? For example, if you had, say for example, you're in the customer screen of an app and you want to export the customers, you can do a find first to find the records that you want. Then you can pick those selected records and then export them to either a CSV or Excel or something like that. And let's go ahead and touch that just so we can see it. We're going to go to the export, and you'll see that you can email it, you can save it, and you can also export it to a file. In this case, the type of file in this case was set to CSV, but we can go over and pick other things. For example, comma separated, dbase, Excel, HTML, merge files, or tab separated. Now tab and Excel are probably the most popular, and then Excel gives you headers that you can go ahead and work with, and tabs, because they're tabs, they don't add any extra baggage that has to be edited like a comma delimited file would. There also is CSV files. The CSV files are usually used in applications like a mail program where you're going to export them to a mail and then add them in as users on your mail, and then take those files that are created when you bring them in and use those to send email to a group. Now that's what I tend to do and when we were doing this export. I might want to use comma separated, CSVs, or an Excel. It just depends, and then bring them into whatever kind of email package you're going to use. I tend to use Gmail. It is my favorite. So I can set up a group and then bring them into a group and say use those as something that has to do related to the application that you're running, and then go ahead and use those as a mailing list. So let's go ahead and go back out of this, and you'll see that it does name that the current file is assets that we're running, and the type of file currently, and the fields. You can go ahead and tap in and select the given fields that you want to export. And the way you would do that is you'd scroll through them and take the check mark off those fields that you do not want to use in your export. And that way you'll get those items in the exported file that you want to use. So let's go ahead and say done over here, and go back, and then go back to the menu again. And in this particular case, you can say save and send. Now this is kind of fun because you can save and send like the current snapshot of the screen as far as the database file is concerned. And we'd tap that over, and it'd bring up and tell you that you can export it as an .fpmp12, which is the standard database file setup. And you can send it an email, or you can save it as a file. And over here it says assets copy. You can click on that because it is the actual database name that you're going to export, and change that if you do need to as far as what you want to send it to somebody. Let's go ahead and say don't, and we're going to say cancel out of here because we're not going to do that. Basically what you're doing now is you want to get this off your screen, and we're going to go look at something that would be on the server and how to set that up. Let's go ahead and tap the box up in the corner. As I stated before, now you tap Windows, it miniaturizes it. Now you go ahead and hit the red X, and now you're back to the main window. And in this particular case now, I'm going to go over and I'm going to go to the hosts, and I'm going to state that if I want to send this to a host, I would have to add the host. And in this particular case, it's a URL in most cases, and it will be the URL host of the cloud application that you're sending the link to. And you'll be linking to that for in the future, and adding it to your list of the host devices on the hosts so that you can go ahead and use them. So that'd be the host cloud app. You do not have to put an optional name in there. At this particular point, what you do is put in the URL, and it may prompt you for the name of the actual file. So have that ready in case you need to use it. Once you have created the link and the URL, then when you save that link, which is in this case, I'm just going to exit, but if you save it, it's going to come back, and that you'll have an icon on your devices, and that will be where you want to add the devices. So let's go back at a host, and it would be a file that would be shown in the devices host, and they'd be listed here like you saw them over here on the devices. So it would be like a file name, but only in this time it would be on the host side, and it would have a URL suffix to it that would allow you to know which one it is that you're actually picking. When you tap on the name of that client file that's set up on the cloud, when you tap it, it'll bring up a dialog that wants you to sign in the username and the password. And in some cases, I've had questions, why do you have usernames and passwords? If you're using these on the cloud, you're going to need to log in as a user, because there's many users in most cases, because this is a multi-user environment. If you had your login and you were logging as yourself, it identifies you and it identifies your login as opposed to somebody else. So when you add or edit a record, it'll know that you're doing that instead of somebody else. And if you're moving around, it's going to follow you on the cloud to know which records you're actually working in. And that's part and parcel to why we put a username in there. Now, if you have any questions about these particular applications on FileMaker, FMGo, and how it works, you can always contact me, and what I'll do is I'll provide you with additional help if you need it as to where and what you need to have on the to make this work for you in conjunction with the applications that I'm providing. So if you have any questions, give me a call and I'll be happy to answer those. Thank you.